Welcome to DBL. It is now the deadliest wildfire in modern U.S. history. The death toll from the fires on Maui now stand at 96, but that number is expected to grow as search and rescue teams dig through the rubble. More than 2,700 homes and buildings were destroyed in the town of Lahaina. Videos like this show the wind gusts, some up to 81 miles per hour, that downed power lines and fanned the flames of last week's fires, spreading at a pace of 1 mile every minute. That seems unbelievable, unfathomable. Here's what Hawaii Governor Josh Green said about it.
With those kind of winds and 1,000-degree temperatures, ultimately all the pictures that you will see will be easy to understand, because that level of destruction in a fire hurricane, something new to us in this age of global warming, was the ultimate reason that so many people perished.
I can't even imagine. Okay, so a lot of things to talk about here. Were people given enough warning? I know that there's so much going on in the land where, you know, the whole slogan right now there is keep Hawaiian land in Hawaiian hands, giving all these landowners, developers coming there. And then the tourists, we saw that boat, right, of snorkelers in Maui. So there's a lot to kind of tackle here. Where are your thoughts, Erica?
Well, my thoughts are with people who are struggling to figure out what their next move is going to be, like literally what foot to put in front of the other. I understand that so many people have different feelings about it. I don't think my feeling counts because I'm not directly affected by this. There are people who are, and when you say like, well, tourists shouldn't be there and they shouldn't be spending money, what about for people who are counting on those dollars in order to feed their family this week? Like, a lot of people are being forced to make decisions based on what is being presented in front of them right now, and I don't think that they deserve to be criticized for it, but I can understand people trying to be proactive about ensuring the safety of everyone else involved. So I don't know what the answer is.
Let me give you guys some context to what's going on right now. The town's water system largely collapsed. So when the fire people tried to use the fire hydrants, it came out in spurts and then it just sort of stopped. The siren system that was supposed to be activated did not activate, did not sound. The phone, TV, and radio alerts were sent, but how many people have cable? And your phone, no one was getting service at the time. So the big moment here, though, that everyone is talking about, that people are already suing, is the Hawaiian Electric. They did not deploy what you call a public power shut-off plan. So winds at 81 miles per hour, you're supposed to take down and shut off so sparks don't fly. They're not sure how this fire started, but people are now suing them for not taking that, which would have reduced the risk of sparking more flames. So there was a lot of infrastructure problems, but you're also on an island, which is not easy to do.
With one road in, one road out in Lahaina.
Right, exactly. So I just wanted to give some context to what's also going on.
And they've also never dealt with anything like this
fire
on
hurricane
this scale.
Right.
And I think, you know, that's one of the things that I think we have to constantly remind ourselves is we're dealing with two different things at the same time. One, we're dealing with the present, like right now. How do we find whatever people perish? How do we start to rebuild? But also, before we start grandstanding, how do we make sure that there is a Maui that people want to go back to, and a Maui that people continue to go and spend their tourist dollars on? I lived in a city, Miami, that was based on tourism. And, you know, you need people to come, especially after a hurricane. They ask people to come after Katrina in New Orleans.
I'm reading different accounts, and I'm confused, too. I'm not saying the accounts that I'm reading are right, but I'm following specific indigenous communities there that live in Lahaina, work in Lahaina, and they're asking to not have tourism in the near future because they want to rebuild themselves. They want to start their own businesses. They want to claim that land. They don't want the continuism of imperialism and colonialism. They want it to be their land. Keep Hawaiian land in Hawaiian hands. So I agree. It's a nuanced discussion. You need tourism. There's probably a lot of Hawaiian families that have companies that are based on tourists. I agree with that. But how do we decipher between who are we really helping? Because we all want to help.
Yeah, well, the next beat is about helping, but I'll just say quickly about like people being litigious.
Yeah.
I want to focus on, you know, the devastation and the people that passed away and trying to rebuild, and that will come in our next beat here. I'll comment on that. But the litigious part, so soon after this is happening, you're in an island in the middle of the ocean. Okay, the infrastructure is not going to be as strong as it is here in the United States, so people might have misjudgments of what they think is right or wrong. The power company, maybe they made a mistake, maybe they didn't. But this is what happens in the ocean. The governor should step up instead of blaming it on climate change. Say, hey, you know what? We don't have the same infrastructure as you guys do on the mainland in the States. But he's blaming it on climate change. There's hurricanes that happen out there. I'm not denying climate change at all. I'm just saying I didn't like that comment that he made in not taking any accountability for why these problems might be in place.
Speaking of that, Governor, he needs to have a declaration of these developers to stop trying to buy up the land. It's disgusting, and he has the power to do that. Okay, stars are helping lead the way, speaking to Jeff's point, trying to help fire victims. Both Oprah and The Rock posted videos to their Instagram accounts. Take a look.
At some point, I will make a major donation after all of the smoke and ashes have settled here and we figure out what the rebuilding is going to look like. This is going to be a long and difficult process.
Everything that I've seen transpire over these past couple of days, everything that continues to transpire hour by hour, minute by minute, it's all heartbreaking. Thank you guys around the world for all of your love and your support, your light, your prayers. Thank you for sending them to the islands of Hawaii.
Meantime, Jason Momoa, who is from Hawaii, is telling tourists to stay away from the island. He says residents need time to heal, grieve, restore. He also said not to book a hotel stay, as many rooms are now being given to residents who lost homes. Nonetheless, we talked about this earlier, there are tourists on the island. And I mentioned this earlier, some are calling them out, like this boat full of folks snorkeling on Maui despite the fires. So what do you think of all of this? What do you think, Jeff?
Yeah, listen, I love Jason Momoa. I love The Rock. I love Bezos. He gave $100 million. I love all that, right? But at some point, they're going to go away. Oprah lives there, so she'll probably be in the community a little bit. And these guys have their heart and soul, and they're from Hawaii, so I'm sure they'll always recognize it. But without tourism, truly, how are you going to rebuild that island? I understand what you're talking about, indigenous people. How much of that money gets slipped through the cracks, paying off CEOs of this and that? How much really goes to the people? If you want people back, you need tourism. Hawaii's Board of Tourism said, come visit. Just stay on the east side of the island. Am I right?
Away from west.
Stay on the east side. They still need that money. So to put people down that are taking people out snorkeling, I understand that you can't have the airports clogged up and things like that, but you need to bring that tourist back in. If you start getting in the back of your mind, like Al said, Maui's done, I'm never vacationing there, that's going to hurt everyone on that island.
But do you think it should be this soon? I agree, because there's still bodies in the water.
But Jason Momoa is telling everybody to stay away. He's not the tourism. He doesn't know. I understand his thoughts are right and his heart's right where he wants it to be. He doesn't know how that island's run, the dollars and cents, the credits and debits. He doesn't know what's happening with Joe's Crab Shack. That was a bad example. Pete's Crab Shack, not the franchise, but whatever. The little, the little guys on the island who help each other. This we won't be talking about in a week or two. They're the ones who have to help each other out on that island, and tourism helps.
I agree, but do you think the snorkeling is too soon when there's still literally?
But
it's a burial right now.
No, but it's not. Half the island is still fine and working in perfect order.
Yeah, the other half of the island is really trying to help the locals in Lahaina, though. Like, is it too soon when they're trying to?
We saw this with Katrina, though. Remember, Katrina, there were parts of New Orleans that were uninhabitable, but they did open up some parts of the French Quarter because New Orleans needed that to survive at the time. And New Orleans is back and blossomed, and now it's like it's a part of history. But I remember at that time, there were sectioned off parts that you didn't go. But New Orleans was like, yeah, come on down. You know how we do down here.
Yeah, it's tough.
I would feel confused if I were in Maui right now. If I were like there,
Me too.
I'd want to spend the money, but I'd also feel super weird. If I was on North or East Maui and the Wailea safe area, I would feel really conflicted. But I also totally understand that they would be under the water, no pun intended, and I don't mean that rudely, if they don't have the tourists there.
Right.
If they don't, they're done.
Well, here's how you can help, because I know that a lot of you want to be able to help the Hawaiian people. Scan the QR code with your phone. It will bring you to the Hawaii Community Foundation, where they've created a Maui Strong Fund. All donations will be distributed for community needs. We'll be right back.